this is not necessarily going to be this bonanza for deals where every deal gets greenlighted and waved through easily. And I pulled up some data this morning because I wanted to be able to back that up. So in the years in which Obama and George W. Bush were the president, when you saw deals that were challenged, and I mean they were actually sued in court, not just challenged in with respect to they needed a remedy in order to get cleared. And what you were looking at were about 2 to 3 a year, and 3 was even a lot. More often it was 1 to 2 a year. And then I took a look at the years in which Trump was the president during his first term. And in 2018, when he was solidly in with his people installed at the Federal Trade Commission and Department of Justice, there were 5 challenges in court to deals. In 2019, we saw 7, and in 2025. So a serious uptick. So to me, this sort of more vigorous antitrust enforcement movement that really gained steam during President Biden actually started during the Trump administration. And I think people forget that. And they forget that the Trump administration challenged the first vertical deal in years. That was AT&T Time Warner, challenged Visa when Visa tried to acquire Plaid, which was a potential competition merger, also kind of, a little bit on the outskirts of a traditional merger theory. And you've mentioned just now DraftKings. They also challenged DraftKings FanDuel deal. So, I think we're going to see more deals. And I definitely think we're going to see an uptick in settlements, because I think that's where the main difference is. This is an administration that hasn't been willing to settle deals and let them clear with a divestiture or a behavioral remedy. And I think we're going to see more deals that settle that way. But I don't necessarily think these really big, tough deals are just going to slide through.
When it comes to specific sectors of the marketplace that maybe a Trump presidency would be more harsh on, what do you think those sectors are? Because I've been seeing a lot of people saying they're going to be super soft on banking. So buy bank stocks. They're going to be softer on big tech. But like you said, there have been a lot of, deals that they have blocked or at least been against that were in maybe some sectors that you wouldn't expect them to be against.
No, that's right. I think because of some comments that Trump has made during this campaign, I do think maybe we could see some easing in the bank area. I think that could bode well for Capital One and Discover that have a deal pending right now. But I don't really see any easing in the big tech space. I mean, we have J.D. Vance, who is a populist, and there is a populist streak also in President Trump.
Jennifer, do you think that President Trump is going to listen to J.D. Vance?
No, not necessarily.
Why would he start that now?
I don't think so. But I'm really, to me, the past is a decent predictor of the future. Maybe you can't say that as much with President Trump, who's quite unpredictable. But if you look at his first administration, it was his FTC and DOJ that started the investigations of all of the big tech platforms and actually filed monopolization lawsuits against 2 of them. I'm not really so sure why it would be different now. And we have heard President Trump during his campaign, again, criticizing Facebook, criticizing Google, being concerned about content moderation. And I know content moderation isn't really an antitrust issue, but he could use the antitrust laws in order to get to that result. I don't really see why we're going to see a lot of easing on big tech.